The US presidential election has been rigged to ensure the people don't choose the president, according to Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has painstakingly compiled a 4,000-page report forensically detailing the crimes of the US deep state and globalist elites. According to Putin, the global elite believe the consequences of the US election are far too important to allow the American people to decide the outcome. And the 4,000-page report lists Klaus Schwab, Barack Obama, Bill Gates, and George and Alex Soros as co-conspirators in the plot against the USA. Putin has patiently gathered evidence, but according to Russian sources, he now believes the moment has arrived to expose the globalist deception and enlighten the public about the elite's true agenda. Before we dive in, join the People's Voice Locals community if you haven't already, and sign up to become a member of the world's first ever cyber nation that truly believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of your dreams. Visit joson.com and click the Join Us button today. It's completely free. According to Democrats and the mainstream media, voter fraud does not exist. For decades, crimes have been perpetrated before the eyes of the public, and anybody who dares to object has been labelled a conspiracy theorist. In 2024, the truth is finally starting to emerge. Brave men and women all over the world are rejecting mainstream media brainwashing and refusing to submit to the diktats of the globalist elites.
I always talk about this. Nobody can force you to come to the polling station. Probably everything can be rigged, just like the previous US elections were rigged through mail voting. It is clear that it was voting by mail. They bought ballots for $10, filled them in, and without any supervision from observers, they threw them into mailboxes, and that's it. But it's impossible to force someone to come. You can't force anyone at gunpoint. If people didn't want to, they simply wouldn't have come to the polling stations, that's all. This is called voting with your feet, that's all. Here they came and voted. What is this other than democracy? The expression of the people's will is democracy.
All across the United States, and particularly in the swing states, citizens are having their votes taken away by the global elites, who are determined to install the candidate of their choice.
Well. I went to vote, do my civic duty, and give my ID. And the lady is like, did you submit a mail-in ballot? And I said, no. And she says, what's your address? Can you verify your address? Sure, here's my address. Matches my license. That matches my face because the picture on my license is me. And she says, well, you voted yesterday. I said, no, I didn't vote yesterday. I'm here voting right now. So what's the problem? I said, what's the problem? She says, she asked for the little supervisor, poll manager, whatever, to come over. And they make a call. You can't tell me who voted for me or where they voted for security reasons. But I had to submit a provisional ballot that goes before a panel of 3 judges, and they have to approve my vote, the real one. Interesting.
As Nancy Pelosi said, Democrats are cold-blooded, and they find ways to win the races that count. Illegal ballot harvesting schemes are being used to rig elections across the country, with a forensic focus on key races that will determine the outcome of the November 5th election.
Like the whole thing with the dome, when they was counting, that was the big thing here, was the counting of the ballots at the dome. It was all counting the ballots, and they told them that it was a leak on the opposite side of the dome. Everybody needed to evacuate. So then when they all left, the Democrats went back in and started counting, and the Republicans went back to the headquarters. They didn't know.
You know that for a fact?
That's what happened. Yeah. When they were counting, I think during that hour, that stretch of that, it was only like less than 100 votes was counted for Trump. And just statistically, you're downtown, there's going to be more than 100 votes for Trump. That's what happened in 2020. they started stuffing them ballots and people stuffing the ballots, and they got videotape of it. But you know, because nobody talks about it. Because they want it. That's why Trump been making that big deal about it, because you see it on videotape. It's like, come on. We see the man pull up and put 100 ballots in his box. You know, you can't do this shit. So Bruce is paying people to do just that. Drop off ballots, go around, collect ballots, collect absentee ballots, drop them off.
As the people of the world continue to wake up to the crimes of the elites, the time has come for justice to be served. According to Putin, the US election has been rigged, and the global elite left their fingerprints all over the crime scene. Democrats have been hiding in plain sight for years, running what Joe Biden described as the most extensive voter fraud organization in history.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Remember when Hillary Clinton introduced her good friend George Soros and explained his interest in US elections? That's right, not US politics, US elections.
You know, it is not enough for America's future that some participate and others don't. We have been given an extraordinary blessing, and at this moment in time, our country needs us. And we need people like George Soros, who is fearless and willing to step up when it counts. So please join me in welcoming George Soros.
It is the first time that I feel that I need to stand up and do something really and become really engaged in the electoral process in this country.
But thanks to people like yourself, who have refused to be cowed in the face of blatant gaslighting and psychological manipulation, times are changing, and we are destroying the propaganda machine. People are waking up and demanding accountability. For the first time in modern history, we're on the verge of a real change, with investigations underway and justice finally within reach. We've got all the details after this important message from our sponsor. The globalists are trying to make us all poorer and destroy what's left of the economy. The Biden regime is following all of the WF diktats to the letter. They literally want you to own nothing and pretend to be happy. It's no joke. That's why I recently decided to put a lot of my own savings into precious metals, gold and silver. I don't trust the banks, I don't trust governments, and I don't trust big tech with my hard-earned money. Why? Because the handful of people that I do trust to give me financial advice, Max Kaiser for instance, have all said that gold is the best insurance against inflation and the stock market. So I decided to partner up with our sponsor, Colonial Metals Group. They helped me set up a self-directed IRA, where I have access to all of my assets, no matter what restrictions the government impose on everybody else. Let the team of experts at CMG help you protect your family's future. And viewers of this channel are being given an exclusive offer. Click on the link below this video or call the 800 number and you'll receive a safe and up to $10,000 in free silver. This offer is exclusive to viewers of The People's Voice. The number to call is 888-351-2043. That's 888-351-2043. Or go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/TPV. The Lancaster County Board of Elections just announced they uncovered a major voter fraud scheme in crucial swing state Pennsylvania. According to the board, up to 2,500 fraudulent voter registration applications were dropped off in 2 batches shortly before the deadline. Authorities believe a large-scale criminal organization is behind this fraud, and the district attorney has vowed to investigate and hold them responsible.
Good morning, everyone. District Attorney Heather Adams. On Tuesday afternoon, I was contacted by Krista Miller, who is our Chief Clerk of Elections, regarding potentially fraudulent voter registration applications that had recently been received by her office. At that time, she informed me that the elections office received approximately 2,500 applications at or near the deadline for registering to vote. While preparing to process these applications, staff noticed that numerous applications appeared to have the same handwriting, were filled out on the same day with unknown signatures, and some were previously registered voters, excuse me, and the signatures on file did not match the signatures on the application. Lancaster County detectives began investigating the voter registration applications and immediately found applications that were indeed fraudulent. Indicators of fraud included inaccuracies with the addresses listed on the applications, false personal identification information, as well as false names. A number of the applications also contained names that did not match the provided Social Security information. In some cases, applications contained correct personal identification information, such as the correct address, correct phone number, date of birth, driver's license number, and Social Security number. But the individuals listed on the applications informed detectives that they did not request the form, they did not complete the form, and verified that the signature on the form was not theirs. At this point, it is believed that the fraudulent voter registrations are connected to a large-scale canvassing operations for voter registrations that date back to June. However, the majority of the applications received are dated August 15th and after. Thus far, of the investigations that we have completed, we have determined that 60% have been fraudulent. That is of the investigations that we've completed. We do have more to do today, and my understanding is that voter registration is still going through the box of 2,500, but should be completed sometime here today. As I said, the investigation is ongoing. We are aware of at least 2 other counties that received similar applications that are currently being investigated. At this point, we have confirmed violation of our crimes code as well as our elections code.
Barack Obama wasn't joking when he told a campaign event in 2008 that Democrats control the voting machines.
Well, I tell you what, it helps in Ohio that we got Democrats in charge of the machines. But look, I come from Chicago, so I want to be honest. It's not as if it's just Republicans who have monkeyed around with elections in the past. Sometimes Democrats have too. You know, whenever people are in power, they have this tendency to try to, tilt things in their direction.
Some things don't change. Earlier this year, white hat hackers found vulnerabilities in voting machines used in US elections. But the authorities said that there's not enough time before the election to do anything about it. Huh? Of course, mainstream media in the West is doing everything it can to suppress these reports and the news that voter fraud even exists. The mainstream media has morphed into a domestic enemy of the United States, working to destroy the republic from within, and Barack Obama is directly responsible.
There's a provision in the CIA charter that says that the CIA cannot propagandize the American people. President Obama adopted in 2016 that essentially reopened the door for Operation Mockingbird so that the CIA began once again to propagandize American people.
How are they doing that, President?
High-level intelligence officials or people associated with the intelligence industry are running those journals, like Noah Schlackman, who runs Rolling Stone, who came from Daily Beast. Daily Beast was run by John Avalon, who has deep ties to the intelligence agencies. But even journals like Smithsonian and National Geographic, Nature, the Washington Post, the New York Times appear to be compromised by the CIA.
Obviously, they forgot to tell the executives at Google, who are on the record boasting that they have rigged 41 elections for the authoritarian global elite in the last 16 years. For the record, Google executives met with Obama behind closed doors at the White House an astonishing 427 times during his presidency. But of course, they could not have been discussing anything to do with Google's icy grip on information flows to influence elections, Because, as Democrats say, voter fraud does not exist. And obviously, the Democrats responsible for maintaining the role of 320,000 ghost voters actively registered to vote in November's election in Must-Win, Michigan, could not possibly be engaging in voter fraud either. Ghost voters are shadows who linger on voter rolls after their real inhabitants have either died or moved interstate. Without voter ID, anybody can show up and vote as a ghost voter, once, twice, or 320,000 times. Democrats are resorting to a trick used by corrupt Zimbabwean officials in 2008.
You can find voters pretty much anywhere in Zimbabwe, down dirt roads and in thick scrubland as well as the main cities. But not here. And that's the point, there aren't any voters here, even though according to this electoral roll for Harare North, there should be thousands.
You get the odd shack like this, which is supposed to hold maybe 20-odd voters. That's according to the electoral rolls that the MDC has gotten hold of. In fact, this whole area around here, 300 square metres or so, is supposed to hold 8,000 voters.
Remember, this is the party whose lawyers openly admit that if the DNC wants to ignore the votes in primary elections and pick their nominees in cigar smoke-filled back rooms, it's their legal right to do so. The global elite are determined to select the next president while ignoring the votes of the people. They have already selected the Democrat nominee without bothering to run a primary election. As far as they're concerned, the presidential election is next. The system has been set up to allow maximum opportunity for fraud. And now states, including Arizona, are saying that it could take 10 to 13 days to tabulate their votes, allowing plenty of time for more post-election rigging. This is unacceptable and opens the door to fraud. Taiwan just held their election. They require photo ID to use paper ballots. They hand count the votes of each station one by one in public view. There are no mail-in ballots, and it's all done in 6 hours.
We're at a polling station here in New Taipei City where the polls have closed and the votes are being counted as we speak. The interesting thing about elections here in Taiwan is that there's no absentee voting, so everything is done in person. You can literally see people there where the votes are being put on paper. There's volunteers inside now reciting what those votes are, and the other volunteers are tallying up those votes right now on that whiteboard. Now, you gotta wonder why they do this, right? Well, it's fair, it's safe, and it does protect Taiwan from any sort of interference from China or other players out there. It is an old school way, and certainly maybe not as efficient as some other economies out there, but certainly it's a way that has worked election after election. We've been told we can't go inside and talk because of all that's going on in there, but here's a sneak peek.
These are critical times, and here at TPV, we are determined to expose the elite and hold them to account before it's too late. Join us in our mission to wake up the masses by subscribing to the Rumble channel and joining the People's Voice Locals community to join our amazing team. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content creator who wants to publish information online without Big Brother spying and censoring your every move? IPv6ers is set to revolutionize the way information is disseminated on the internet by eliminating the need for big tech companies to provide unreliable, overpriced services such as self-hosting, email, and data management. IPv6ers enables an easy and accessible way for you to host your own web and email server with direct end-to-end connections and enhanced security. This means no snooping from Big Brother and no interference from the technocratic elite. If Hillary Clinton can get away with running her own server, why shouldn't you? Go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 to sign up, or click the link below this video to take back control of the internet and win the info wars against the globalists. If you like our content, help support our sponsor IPv6ers and go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 today. Thank you IPv6ers for making this video possible.